It seemed that the light in the phone booth had recently been changed, as it shone with a vivid white light. Although in the gloom of Hinamizawa, it was nothing more than a gathering spot for mods. But in any case, I'd finally found it. As my hand touched the door of the phone booth, I realized that I was breathing and sweating heavily anyway. I didn't know what time it was right now, but even if it was just for a moment, I might be able to get in touch with Yuki. Since I'd spent all this effort getting here, turning back without even giving it a try was out of the question. Before I picked up the receiver, another wave of uneasiness washed over me. I was worried that this phone cord might be severed as well. How was the cord in this phone booth? Squatting down, I followed the bundle of cables as they ran along the corner into the ceiling. At a glance, nothing was out of the ordinary. I ran my fingers as far as I could along the line to check it out. The only thing they found was a thick layer of dust. Nothing out of the ordinary. I wondered if it was popular in Hinamizawa to cut the cords of payphones as some sort of tasteless prank. Just a prank, bro! Now the phone company's gotta come out and pay for it! It might be prudent to talk to Oishi-san about this later. Even if it was nothing more than a prank, it was still vandalism of public property. In any case, this one was fine. This time. Pulling out a coin from my pocket with one hand, I picked up the receiver with the other. But this time, before the receiver even reached my ear, I felt something was off. The receiver was light. It was more than a slightly unpleasant feeling. It felt almost sickening. To verify the source of my displeasure, I peered at the receiver in my hand with a measure of reluctance.
なんだよ、これ。
The coiled cord that connected the receiver to the rest of the phone had been ripped apart, the tip of the cable swaying in the air. It was all I could do to restrain myself as a raw and unpleasant feeling worked its way up the small of my back. It was a type of dread. At that moment I heard the crunch of someone stepping on gravel. The light was reflecting off the glass walls of the booth, leaving me unable to see outside in the darkness. I steeled myself and stepped out of the phone booth. The inside of the booth was lit with that strong light, which might have made it warmer in there. Just stepping outside, I could feel a chill wash over me. And there was the silhouette of a person. A small silhouette.
君は
The long hair of that silhouette was blown about by the cool breeze.
怪我人が病院を抜け出して
Ah,
はいけ
it's
ないので
just
す
you,
よ。
Rika. Have you come here to murder me? Somewhere in my head, I knew who this girl was. I didn't have any basis for it, but I knew that she was that girl.
ねえ、赤坂。
She, Rika Furude, said that almost like it was a warning.
君が電話のコードを。
Her expression remained unchanged, and my question was left unanswered. In other words, no response. Regardless, I felt that she had affirmed my suspicions.
どうしてこんなことをするんだ。どうして。
The last word had a tinge of anger behind it. I frantically tried to smooth things out, but she didn't seem very afraid.
もうどうにもならないことです。
I interpreted her words as meaning that I wasn't going to be in time for calling hours at the hospital. But thinking about it, that would have been a strange thing to say. Why would she know something like that? I could take what she said to have any other meaning. She just stood there like a mannequin, not even moving an inch. almost to the point that if the wind wasn't occasionally rustling through her long hair, there would be the illusion that time had stopped.
赤坂が私を気味悪く思
I'm
っている
glad
の
we
が
got that
よ
out of
く
the
わか
way.
る。
いや、そんなことないよ。
My denial came out almost like a bad piece composed for a poetry slam. But her words were right on the mark. I'd always felt something ominous and uncanny about her, ever since her strange threats at the shrine. She's got the creepy smile again. She'd noticed that my expression was contrary to my words, seemingly laughing at the gap between them.
赤坂の怖がり。
怖がってなんかいないよ。
Being laughed at by this small child didn't sit well with me. So I said that.
もう電話を探しても手遅れの時間です。
そうだな。
She didn't even have to say it. I was absolutely too late. I might have already missed calling hours, even by the time I reached this phone booth. I was too late. I had no option but to give up for today. Once I decided that, my unhealthy obsession with phones suddenly faded. Even I thought that it was strange that I was obsessed. That strange obsession now gone, I began to laugh at how hopeless I was. I mean, just look at what I was wearing. It wasn't normal. A hospital gown and sandals. My head wrapped in bandages, and my body completely soaked in sweat. It was a wonder that the old lady at the tobacco shop wasn't surprised to see me. With wanting to hear Yuki's voice as my motive, I had trapezed around the town the entire evening. I didn't know whether to call it the follies of youth, or simply plain embarrassing. In any case, it was all I could do but to laugh at myself.
もうこれで今夜赤坂がすることは何もないです。
そうだな。もう何もないよ。おとなしく病院へ引き上げるさ。
それがいいのですよ。病院への道はわかりますですか？
わかるつもりだよ。
She waved her little hand as I began to head back the way I came. She began to follow alongside me. Looking at her face, I could see that she wore a mischievous smile, as if she was extremely interested in whether or not I would get lost.
リカちゃんの家もこっちの方向なのかい？
なのですよ。
こんな時間に一人で表を歩いてるとご両親に怒られたりしないかい？
別に怒られませんです。今日はご両親は忙しい日なので僕のことなど忘れていますですよ。
それでも帰った方がいい。きっと怒るよ。
それでも赤坂とおしゃべりする方が面白いのでいいのです。
She said that with a face free from worry, as she looked up at me once more and smiled. When she showed me that smile, the eerie feelings surrounding her faded. But even then, she was still as mysterious to me as ever. We arrived at the corner I had turned at earlier, but it was much darker than before, and with the point of view changed on the return trip, I wasn't very confident that this actually was the corner I turned at. There's not mistake. It had to be this corner. As I began to move my feet again, the girl grabbed onto my clothes.
赤坂は病院へ戻るのではないのですか？
I was. I
もちろん
actually was.
戻るつもりだよ。道間違えた？
A short moment of silence. Eventually, still holding onto my clothes, she began to walk. It was the beginning of the walk to the hospital this mysterious girl would take me on. She's gonna murder us out in the middle of nowhere in the forest. While making that creepy face of hers.
電話のコードを切って回ってたのリカちゃんだろ。ダメだよ、もうしちゃ。
僕には何のことかよくわかりませんのですよ。
本当にかい？
She tried to play dumb, but it was written all over her face.
ニパー。
It was obvious she was trying to laugh it off, but that adorable smile of hers just made me want to forgive her. Ah, I'm going to be a horrible father, aren't I? That momentary lapse in tension was erased by her next words.
孫、無事に見つかってよかったです。
Unable to respond right away, I sunk into silence. I'd already learned this from Sato-san's info, didn't I? This girl, no, this entire village knew everything since the moment I set foot in it. I considered playing dumb, but in the end I chose not to. With everything being known already, there was no point in me feigning ignorance.
なんとかね。
それはよかったです。これで東京に帰れますですよ。
ありがと
赤坂の怪我はひどいのですか？
う。さあ、ひどいのかどうか、医者の診察を聞いてないからわからないな。
Huh? Come to think of it, I vaguely remembered being told to lie down and take it easy for at least 24 hours. Did that mean bed rest?
怪我人は病院を抜け出してはいけないのですよ。
電話のコードだって切っちゃいけないんだぞ。
僕には何のことやらわからないのです。
じゃあこっちだって何のことかわからない。
As we played dumb with each other, we both laughed at the same time. If somebody saw us laughing at each other like this, it would probably bring a smile to their lips.
赤坂が生きてこの村を出られる確率は
Yeah, I know, right?
決して高くありま
That's
せん
what I
で
was
した。
saying.
僕は赤坂に死んでほしくはないので、生きて村を出ることができて嬉しいです。
リカちゃん、最初っから私の正体は知ってたんだろ？
She said nothing, but gave a firm nod.
なら分かっていると思うけど、私たちはこの村のどちらかというと敵の部類に入ると思う。なのに君はいろいろと忠告してくれたね。
That's right. She said it at that time. She wouldn't warn somebody that she was okay with dying. She definitely said something like that.
なら私は君に感謝するべきなのかもしれないね。
感謝した方がいいのですよ。僕は命の恩人なのです。
Saying that, she puffed up her chest proudly. She said it jokingly, but the meaning behind those words was quite heavy. That was because whether I lived or died was a decision that might have been made in a place unbeknownst to me. She said those words with such an adorable smile that it took a few moments of silence for their weight to settle in. I'd been to this place before. The Defense Alliance's office was there. It was the stone steps leading up to the Furude Shrine. When I passed by before, I was so focused on finding a phone booth I hadn't realized where I was.
確かこの神社がリカちゃんの家だったよね。
まあ、そんなものです。
Looking up at the shrine grounds, it was brightly lit and energetic voices could be heard. What was going on?
今日はお祭りの日な
Oh,
ので
it's
す
the
よ。
festival. Excellent. That means the foreman's gonna die, right?
お祭り？
ひなみ沢村の唯一で一番のお祭り、綿流しのお祭りです。
綿流し？
祭りなんて名ばかりのつまらないものですよ。見ますですか？
She asked bluntly, but seeing that I looked interested, she climbed up a couple of steps and motioned for me to come. I was only going to go back and sleep anyways. If I had nothing else to do, it might not be a bad idea to go with her on a little detour. In the hostile territory that was this village, I didn't know what would happen if I ventured down a side road without Oishi. Even though I thought of the village like that, when I was with this girl, I forgot all about it. In any case, even without anything to back it up, I felt that as long as I was with her, none of the ill will from the village would befall me. That's why, even though I knew my cover was blown, I strangely had no qualms about setting foot in the heart of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance's territory. Climbing up to the grounds of the shrine, I could see there were about 3 pavilions set up, with meeting tables and folding chairs. The old folks from the village, no, the executives of the Defense Alliance, were already quite drunkenly sharing another round of drinks. I could only see it as people from the village council drinking, while enjoying the evening air. At the very least, it was certainly quite different than any festival I'd ever seen.
ね。つまんないお祭りでしょ。
これは確かにお祭りには見えないね。
大昔からずっと続いてきたお祭りですが、見ての通り、すっかり寂れてしまったのですよ。
As if to chide the old folk, she said that while looking at them with an exasperated expression. You really couldn't call this a festival anymore. It was just a bunch of neighbors getting together to drink under the guise of a festival.
これじゃ祀られる神様も気の毒だな。
こんなみっともないお祭りも5、6年もすると村中が総出でやってきて、ちゃんと儀式も真面目にやる立派なお祭りになるのですよ。
What she said was not so much wishful thinking, as it was the telling of a future that had already been determined. She wasn't even predicting it. It was almost like she was simply reporting the results. That's how it sounded. Even though it was baseless speculation, the way she said it wouldn't let me interject. It was the same way she talked when she changed. While I struggled to find the words to reply to her, she wandered over to the other side of the grounds, not minding me at all. Not in a state where I could afford to be left behind, I hurriedly followed after her. Passing through a copse of pine trees, a strong and cool breeze ruffled my hair. There, from that one evening, was the splendid observation platform the girl had shown me. As it had grown completely dark, the modest lights littered across the nightscape were providing a different kind of scenery.
こうして眺めると、この村ものどかそうに見えますのです。
She said that with an indifferent look on her face.
君は先日、この村は絶対にダムに沈むことはないと、そう断言したね。
She didn't reply, seemingly relishing in the feeling of the wind blowing through her hair.
あれは、あの時点でもう、大臣が要求に応じていたという意味だったんだね。
She spun around, her gaze meeting mine. But she said nothing. She spoke nothing that would neither confirm nor deny what I had just said.
多分、今回の事件は、闇から闇へ葬られる。本庁上層部は、多分、大臣のスキャンダルが公になってトラブルになることを望まないと思う。
さもないと、孫を殺すぞと脅したに違いないのです。
で、大臣との交渉が成功し、孫は解放された。
孫を助けたのは 赤坂ですよ。
どうだろう。発端となったあの財布の発見、あれ自体がすでに出来すぎだったように思う。
Ever since the moment that wallet was discovered, I felt something was odd. Oishi said it as well, that the Sonozaki family had given the order to release the hostage, meaning that our little manhunt was a farce to begin with. Come to think of it, I was punched, kicked, and had a gun pointed at me. I felt like they put up quite a fight, but that might have been all part of a good performance. Once the negotiations were successful, they couldn't just say, "Here you go," and return the minister's grandson right to his doorstep. They knew that the public safety had realized that this was a kidnapping case, and were moving in on it. That's why, due to the actions of public safety, the grandson was able to be rescued safely. So the minister didn't give in to any unreasonable demands. That type of performance was necessary.
僕には難しいことはよくわかりません。
同感だな。私にだって難しいことはよくわからない。だが一つ確実なことがある。君が言った通りってことさ。この村はダム湖になんか沈まない。ダム計画なんてそのうちなくなってしまうってことさ。
That wasn't something an officer of the law should be saying, but I naturally let those words slip from my mouth. This village may have stirred up all sorts of trouble, but that was because they were protecting their homes. If someone just decided by themselves that I had to leave the house I was used to living in, I would resent them as well. On top of that, it wasn't a place like mine where I just happened to be renting it, but a place that their families had lived for generations. It might be ignorant to call their desperate resistance an overreaction. I might not really be qualified to criticize politics or bureaucracy, but deliberately building a dam on land that was loved by its residents wasn't something I could get behind.
でもよかったじゃないか。